Nutnfancy tent review. Can you believe it? A tent review in the project. It's been over 10 years since I've reviewed a tent. We'll see how it goes. If there's a lot of support, a lot of enthusiasm, you'll see more. Looking at that peak, by the way, snow almost completely melted. I came up here 2 weeks ago. That top portion was completely covered in snow. Temperature warming up, summer coming very quickly. This is the time to come out here and go desert camping. Probably not in June, definitely not July through September. It will be over 100 degrees frequently out here. Welcome to the Nutnfancy project, outdoor adventure. Still going. I'll be reviewing this. We'll get right to it, trust me. I came up here on this. Go watch my review on the KTM 890 Adventure. Yeah, just did it. Just filmed it here. A lot of philosophy there. A lot of specifics. If you're into motorcycles, thinking about doing adventure motorcycling like I'm doing today, watch the video. Might help you out. But we're here using this tent for the first time. This is my review on the North Face Trail Lite 3. They might make a 2 version. I didn't really look. I would not go smaller than this. I'm 6'3", kind of fattish these days, and so I need some room to stretch out. If I were to bring Dogness with me in the side-by-side or backpacking, I will definitely need that room. Like most manufacturers, they overrate the capacity. They'll say that it's, for 3 people. I'd say 3 small people with very small sleeping bags. I always reduce at least 1. This is really a 2-person tent. But if you want to cram in there, you're small, maybe you're like 5 foot, there's 3 of y'all, 5.5 feet, yeah, you can make it work. North Face Trail Lite 3. Immediately I'm impressed with the tent. Now, if you're new to the project, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, think about becoming a TNP Patreon donor. Let me know if you liked outdoor equipment reviews. Again, I'll watch the view numbers. If there's a lot, I'll do more. But there was a day when I was doing a ton. I did a series on backpacking tents. It's like 3 videos. You can look that up. Still valid information, teaching you how to choose a tent for your specific application with a focus on backpacking. Now, we're on the bike here. And you may say, well, I'm on a motorcycle. I can just take everything I want to take. Not really. We're very size limited on any motorcycle and even weight limited. The more weight I put on it, the harder it is for me to run down these trails, these dirt roads. And if I dump the bike, even tougher. SAWC, that is size and weight constraints, is always important. Well, not always. If you're truck camping, Jeep camping, maybe not quite as important, but for what I do, always important. Now, what I'm going to do is we're going to do a walk around. We're going to talk about POU, ease of setup, quality of construction, roominess, some other things with all these grasshoppers, baby grasshoppers on the exterior of the Trail Lite 3. And then I'm going to throw on the Rainfly. And then we'll finish inside the tent, taking a look at its lighting, its comfort, and just wrap it up. Hopefully this is not too long of a video. I'm going to try to move pretty quickly so I have better retention, just get the information out to you. But you know me, I can talk philosophy all day long. Let's jump into it super quick. What would you use this tent for? I think most people would be camping at a campground. Is this the best choice? I would say no. I would go with something bigger, roomier, more headroom. In that application, you're not really using a motorcycle, you're not backpacking in, you're using a vehicle. Get a bigger tent. Get something with more floor space, more features. This is really a backpacking tent. That's what TNF has designed it to be. They have an eye on weight savings pretty much in most respects on this tent. How about for backpacking? Yeah, ideal. Now, I weighed it before I left on this trip, and it was 6 pounds, 4 ounces. As it came from the factory. You could probably save 6 ounces by getting rid of those steel stakes, upgrading to aluminum stakes. Okay, so I think you would be around 6 pounds, maybe more with my what's going to be homemade footprint. You might be looking at that like, dude, what are you doing? I mean, that's really messed up. What I'm doing is I'm sizing that. Since this is the first use of this tent, I'm going to cut it out specifically with the fly and vestibule stretched out, and then it will roll up with a tent. That's what I'm doing. I'm just making my homemade vestibule. And no, I normally don't travel with a hammer. I just did on this trip because it's only 7 ounces. I just threw it in there. Makes stake insertion so much easier. But it's light enough to trip on a backpack trip. You could split up the components. Maybe someone carries a fly, the footprint, the other one carries the poles and the body, however you want to divide it. So then you're like 3.5 pounds each. I think this would be a very comfortable tent for 2 people. How about bug out kit tent? Yes. Other ones that I recommend for that, I have talked and reviewed them, is like the Celtic Gunnison series. It comes in a 2-person, 4-person tent series. Those are ideal. They're not as strong as this, and they don't have the cross eyebrow. That's what I'm calling these, the eyebrow poles right here. Let me get a drink real quick. Like I said in the Gunnison reviews though, they are pretty much a moderate weather tent. They're not really stressed for super high winds since they're just 2-pole designs. I also did an online review of the Grand Mesa by Kelty. Really excellent tent. That would be a better one, the larger Grand Mesa for your campground, by the way. I've done the Ledge Recluse, REI Quarter Dome, and a couple others throughout the years. Look them up. Still out there, I hope. Yeah, so this one, I would think, as it's braced, getting into POU again, winter camping, I think it could do it with a moderate snow load. Now, some of you guys might be looking at this and go, wait a second, dude, all that mesh, I would not take that tent winter camping. Maybe, but here's my philosophy on tents. Get rid of your moisture that's inside the tent. We all exhale a ton of moisture, and when it's cold especially, all it does is condensates on the inside of your tent. If you don't have mesh, you're just going to be raining in the morning, and I've done videos showing this. It'll just rain down on top of you with a condensation. With a mesh, it has a chance to go through the mesh, condensate on the fly, and then with a clip pole arrangement, wind will help ventilate under the fly and get rid of that moisture. Back to the winter philosophy of use. Ideal for that? It really depends on how sensitive you are to cold. I can pretty much tell you with the fly on, this will shed wind and rain quite well because I have a lot of experience with TNF, like with my Boulder 33 tent. That was in that series, by the way. Also another really meshy tent. But if you're going to a place that's going to have a heavy snow load, blizzards, I might take something that has more nylon coming up higher, maybe to this point. Has some mesh panels on the top, and I have some walrus tents that fill that application quite well. But I wouldn't mind camping in this in the snow at all, with the fly on it, of course. Philosophy of use. Motorcycle tent, of course, you're seeing me use that. And bug out kit tent, going back to that. Is it light enough for that? Might be a little bit heavy for that, unless you're going to use like multiple people to divide the parts. But that violates one of my concepts of a bug out kit. That is, each kit has to be self-contained and not rely on another kit. You get me? So you don't want to have the poles in another kit that might be 10 miles away, 20, 30, 50, another state. You might want to go with a smaller 2 or 1 person tent. But if you know you're going to stay together, have one person carry it, yeah, I think it's doable. Totally doable. And canoe, water tent, absolutely. Small enough, light enough, compact enough. The rest of POU, I think you get. How's ease of setup? Well, let me rank it 0 to 5 stars. 5 stars is the best. I will give it 5 stars. 5 stars. That's how easy it was to set up this tent. One reason is you don't have sleeves that you have to push the poles through. You have clips, much like Sierra Designs does. Sierra Designs. I like clips a lot. In the past, I've criticized them because some manufacturers did not have a taut enough pitch with the clips. I was a field tester for LL Bean for a decade. They tried it. There were a couple tents they sent me, and they kind of failed that way. And I was like, you need to really stretch that fabric. And you can see TNF has done that. Look at how tight that pitch is. And that's with clips. One reason manufacturers stayed with sleeves for so long is because it would produce a very tight pitch. But it's harder to set up because I have to thread those darn poles through the sleeves. It gathers moisture because let's say you have a wind coming up here. You have that condensation in your fly. What it will do is it'll hit a sleeve and it'll block it. Like this is a solid fabric sleeve. That moisture just stays there. Clips are the way to go. Really easy to set up. Non-adjustable grommet here at each corner. I don't mind that at all. Very simple. An eye towards weight saving. You just put that in, clip, clip, clip. You have a polymer hub right there on the Trail Lite 3 series. And that's permanent. And these are pre-bent. Another thing I like about these poles, 7000 series DAC aluminum. They're strong. I've tested this stuff a lot in storms. Unless you do it wrong, they're not going to break on you. But I thought it was a breeze, literally a breeze as it kicks up, by the way, to set up. Now these I'm calling your eyebrow poles. They go over like this. At least that's how I'm running them. Again, it's giving you a very tight pitch to what's going to be the fly once I put it on. But 5 out of 5. Now let's talk about room. Since we're outside, we don't have the fly on. You can see it. I'm 6'3". I don't really like rubbing my tent sides in the morning because of moisture almost always, especially if I'm camping in cold weather. Once again, you'll have condensation. This is big enough. I think I can get away with it. With dogness, maybe one other person. 88 inches long, 61 inches wide, 44 inches high on the North Face Trail Lite 2. I'm sorry, Trail Lite 3. That's just about right. 38 square feet on the floor, vestibule 37 square feet once we get that set up. Durable water repellent coating on it. And I kind of hate this. They're now bragging in the industry that it's PFC free, polyfluorocarbon free, i.e. Probably not as durable, because every time they do something like that, it doesn't last as long. But it's a 1200 millimeter polyurethane coating on the floor, which is industry standard, and you can see there are taped seams in there. We'll look at those in detail perhaps. 2 sealing pockets right here. We do not have a gear net. I don't mind that. It's just simple. Nothing to set up, nothing to clip, just 2 sealing pockets. I'm okay. Do they have any side pockets though? I don't see any. They should probably have some side pockets too. Those are the most useful actually. And then once we set this up, you're going to have 2 vestibules, one on this end, one on that end, which is actually phenomenal. That's a lot of value and a lot of place to put your wet gear, stuff you don't want to get rained or snowed on. And I think it will be a comfortable sleep. This will be my first night in it, but I don't foresee any problems other than this rough ground. I mean, I drove all over looking for a flat space. This is about the best I could find. For the time I was willing to spend, the best place I could find. All right, let me put the fly on and then we'll go inside the tent. We'll wrap it up and I'll talk about a couple other things. Nutnfancy project, believe it or not, a tent review, a wilderness experience review. Yeah, I like how that looks. That looks legit. That looks like a mountaineering tent with a fly on it. This thing is awesome. This color is awesome. Buy it quickly because TNF and all the tent manufacturers go through their colors very quickly. They batch produce them and then they're gone. This gold on the tent body, kind of a yellow, autumn gold, fantastic. And then the light tan for the fly, perfect. Blends in, not too obnoxious in the scenery. It will be very bright and cheery on the inside of the tent. Putting the fly on, I think, was easy. You have 2 eyelets right here. They'll go on your eyebrow poles. After that, you just attach your eyelets to the bottom of your X tent poles. That was easy to do. Notice there's an adjustment here. Why do they do that? Because if and when, not if, when this tent fly gets wet, it stretches. So this is to allow for cinching up when it gets wet. They come fully tightened. Just play around with it. These are necessary if it gets stormy. Now, my weather today is not bad, so I don't have these guyed out. But if it's super windy, you want to guy these out. Totally do it. Spend the time, get some stakes, carry them in the bag. It will add a lot of rigidity to the fly and to the tent. Also, I can't tell you how many times I've seen people in their tents and they don't know how to put a fly on. Either that's super loose, they don't stretch it, and there's no ventilation under the fly. Again, we want to stretch it out, put some tension on it. Ideally, I would have this on another cord, put it out further, and really bring this out so I can get some wind coming up under that fly. Pitch accordingly if it's important to you. And again, we're getting rid of that moisture that we exhale at night. Look at the quality of everything. So this is guy wire. This is like illuminates at night with a flashlight. That's expensive. The nylon straps, that's the highest, grade of nylon that I've ever seen. I mean, I've been reviewing packs and backpacks, tents for a long time. That's top notch. All the plastic stuff, top notch. Zippers, top notch. Lightweight nylon fly. This is not a tent you would want to have set up for weeks on end though. You're gonna compromise its strength over time. But I'm really impressed with the construction of this fly. It will shed wind, rain, transforming this tent again into a 4-season sleeper, just like I was saying. Now, some of you might say, well, it's so nice out there in the desert mountains. Why even put the fly on at all? Well, I'm doing the review, so you guys have to see it. But even if I wasn't, I would still put the fly on. And incidentally, you can see I cut out my footprint. If I can find a footprint to this, I'll put a link to that below. Please use my links because it supports the channel. Even if you find the tent at some other location, if you buy it there, you ain't supporting me. Please support the work. Thank you. Yeah, I got the fly cut out. Here comes the first vestibule. Notice that it's retained with Velcro. Nice YKK zippers. Can't tell you how many people that I've seen pitch a tent without a footprint. They get little holes in their tent, sometimes big holes in their floor, and they're complaining. They're like, man, this tent sucks. I'm like, you need to put a footprint on, dude. They're like, what's that? I'm like, it's either a tarp or the manufacturer's footprint. It goes underneath the tent. It helps protect the floor of the tent against tears and cuts. Moisture. That's what it does. Here's the taping of the seams. You can see that right there. Going inside the Trail Lite 3. Yeah, this tent is awesome, dudes. Totally awesome. Has a Nutnfancy seal of approval. It really reminds me of my Boulder 33, which is probably my favorite tent because it's so meshy, airy, lightweight. And that tent is much bigger than this one. A little bit heavier though. Here's those pockets for your gear. That's where you're going to hang your lantern, your headlamp, whatever it is. I do think it's a miss they don't have side pockets here. Would I add any? No. I don't want to put any stitching holes in this tent. And notice there's only one seam. It goes down the middle of the floor and taped. So this is actually a waterproof tape that they apply over the stitching to make sure no water comes through. Use your footprint though. Oh my goodness, this is a great tent, dude. Especially for its low price. Oh my gosh, this is awesome. Plenty big enough for me. So again, I'm 6'3". I'm gonna throw my stuff in here shortly, but I'm not gonna wait to film it. Look, I still have room. My head's not touching the other side. 2 people would be extremely comfortable in the Trail Lite 3. 3 people, like I said before, a little bit cramped. Oh, there's some mesh pockets right there, dudes. That helps. Yeah, something there. Those are always jammed up like chipmunk cheeks. And notice how bright it is inside with that tan color. It would be brighter still if the fly was this color, the autumn gold. But I gotta tell you, I really like that tan because it's subdued. Maybe it is a good bug out kit tent. And there you have it, boys, girls. Highly recommended, very highly recommended. The North Face Trail Lite series. Probably the 3 is what I'm going to recommend you get. For the reasons stated, just roomier. I think for the weight you're packing around, this is a very lightweight tent and weatherproof too. Now, I haven't tested it in high winds yet. Maybe in the future I do an adventure with a Trail Lite. We'll see what it does. But I'll have it staked out, and I don't foresee any problems whatsoever. Stay subscribed, maybe see an adventure in the weather, in the snow, with this tent and maybe another and more gear, perhaps, and we're done. Thanks so much for watching the review. Let me know if you get one of these, if you love it. Tell me what adventures you've taken it on. If you aren't going on any adventures, repent and do better. Life is still great. Get out and enjoy life. Lots of great experiences waiting for your courage to just get out and get it done. Nutnfancy. See ya.